I think when you share your deepest desires and your goals with each other, it can be a big accountability too, of like having somebody who calls you up, not calls you out, but somebody who calls you up to your highest version of yourself and doesn't let you settle, because they know that your highest desire is to grow and to step into this, whatever that is, this new season or this new version of yourself. So they're not going to allow you to back down and just go sit in the corner, because they love you and they want the best for you. It was like maybe 5 years ago. I can't remember what I had written on my mirror, but I had written some kind of affirmation, right?
Yeah.
I remember texting him being like, I don't think I want to do this. He's like, that's fine, but just go read what you wrote on your mirror and then you can decide. Like, this is your decision, not mine. And I'm like, I hate you right now. I'm for sure throwing some tantrums.
Well, today I'm super excited. I am talking with Miss Kara, and I've known her several years now. We've done some fun things in the investing space, in the real estate education space, in cruising, in seminars, all the things. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
I'm super excited and honored to be here. I love anytime I can have any interaction with you. So this is going to be fun.
Yes. So we wanted to chat about family and family in business. And I often say that you can't organize to scale your business unless you organize to scale yourself. And that inner journey is quite a journey. So I'm curious, as you've evolved in your business and life, what gets you up in the morning to keep going as you've scaled things?
I think because I'm constantly learning, honestly. I think a lot of times I almost feel like a beginner, like I'm entering a new beginning season, and that really excites me. Although it also really frustrates me. I don't know if you can relate to that, but anytime I'm in a season of beginning, I'm frustrated, but I also like that is the reason why I keep wanting to grow, because there's more to learn. And so I think that that's one of the big things. And then just speaking of family, really passing on that legacy to family, and not just the money piece of it, but really like because we can leave all the money we want to our family, but what does it look like to actually put things inside of them, not just leave stuff for them? So that piece really motivates me as well.
Yeah, it reminds me, like, you can't just pass on money. You have to pass on the mindset that created the money.
Yes.
So how do you and Mike do that with your kids? Do you have principles that you're committed to teaching them?
It's so funny because do you know who Scott Donnell is?
No.
He has a program called Gravy Stack. I'm going to plug him here because it's so awesome for kids and teaching them financial literacy. And it's like nothing else that I've seen out there. I wish that I had something like that when my kids were younger. We made a lot of mistakes raising our kids. They're in their early 20s now. So still at a younger age where we can still like mold. And obviously we did our best. I would do things probably a little differently, but I can say like some of the things that we did well as far as the money piece of it is really teaching them. Like, this is funny because I'm not really a Dave Ramsey fan, but we did do his envelope things when the kids were little. And I feel like it helped them because they had this money inside of an envelope, and it was like they could spend it on whatever they wanted, but they got to choose what it was. So I really started seeing which ones were the spenders and which ones were the savers, because we all have that natural instinct of what we are. But I do think that that's one of the things that we did that did help impact them with making financial decisions when they were little. And then I think just as they've grown, really, one thing we've always just been instilled in them is make sure you're doing something that you love. And I don't think that it's always going to be fun. So we've also, they've seen us do a lot of things that are not fun. Building businesses and investing is not, I would say, fun. Although it's kind of a weird thing, but it's not like our first business was a plumbing and HVAC company. It's not like we were so passionate about plumbing and HVAC. And now we're in like the mobile home parks. Like, none of our businesses have been very sexy, but that's okay. So I think not the fact that like you have to do something that you just love and you wake up every day, but also just finding that value. I think it's Rich Dad that said, don't work to earn, work work to learn. And so I think we've really instilled that into them of like creating the lifestyle that they want, not even necessarily related to the money piece of it. Because when you're adding value into the world, the money always comes. So being, I think, helping them show up as a valuable person in society, I think that is something that we as parents can really instill in our children is what value are they adding and how do they become a valuable person, whether they become an entrepreneur, an investor, or they work for somebody. If you're providing value, that's where you're going to scale in any area of your life.
I also think that there's two types of value, right? There's market value and then there's innate value. And how did you separate that inside of their psychology while you're trying to teach them to have market value, but also not sacrifice their innate value?
Yeah, I think it like, and I don't know if this is going to relate, but the first thing that came to my mind was thinking critically. I think that has become kind of a lost thing, even hearing stories of my kids and the things that other kids were saying while they were going to school. Nobody is really thinking with their own minds these days. So I think, one of the things that we were really good at is teaching them to question everything, even if it was us, which is so hard as a parent. So if you're a parent out there and you're hearing this, I know that can seem kind of scary, but when it comes to like, we provided our values and our beliefs, and I think that they're good values and good beliefs, but also allowed them to question and actually encourage them to question what their own values were, or question ideas or religions, or what they wanted in their life, even if it was contrary to what the way that they were raised, because you don't want to just like raise little mini me's. You want to raise humans that actually think for themselves and critically think and make decisions based off of their own ideas, not just something that was passed down. And I think we see this a lot within religion. It's like this religion is passed down, but there's not really a true belief in that child of whatever that religion is because they haven't experienced it. So I think that this is true with every aspect of life. We have to allow our kids to experience something for themselves and start thinking critically for themselves. And I think that's the biggest blessing that you can give your children, but it is scary, and allowing them to, and encouraging them to question everything.
Yeah. I want to share something, and then I'm curious your perspective, because I feel like we have your mother perspective raising kids, and then I was raised in a similar environment to how you're saying you raised your kids.
Yep.
So growing up, everything we earned, whether it was birthday money or babysitting, we had to take 10% in tithe. And then what was left over, half we could spend and half we could save, and we had envelopes. But anything we took from our spending and put into our savings, my parents would match. So by the time I was 18, I had $25,000 saved. That's how I bought my first property. And through that whole experience up until now, I've always said the three things that I think I got from how they raised me was deferred gratification. So the envelope system taught me deferred gratification. Then they also taught me critical thinking, which is what you just mentioned, and to fall in love with learning. And those three things have really shaped my curiosity, my drive, my ambition, my grit. And I know your kids have done some significant things with their lives too. So how much do you think those like three things shaped their ability to perform as an athlete, or perform in academics, or perform even in like their own life crises and their ability to navigate it?
Well, as you're saying that, I think, when you're talking about when you were growing up and that ability to learn. So my kids they just went to public school, and it's so interesting because my oldest son, I remember he went to kindergarten. I go off a little bit of a tangent, but he went to kindergarten, and he was such a smart kid. He was the kid that was asking a million questions. He's still to this day, like, how does this work? Like, that's just the way his brain is. Yeah. And so he went into kindergarten, and I'm thinking like, he's so smart. Well, then the teacher pulls us in and is like, he's going to have to come in in the afternoons because he's just so far behind. And I remember like looking at Mike and being like, are they talking about the same kid? Like, I don't understand this. And they were, and we went in, we met with them, and we kind of like argued with them a little bit, but they put him in the second half of the day. And, he hated school all growing up, hated it. And just from that, and I think it really was that. And that's kind of a regret I have as a parent of like, I should have just pulled him and put him somewhere else, or like figured out what to do, but I allowed the school system to define that in him. And so he grew up kind of feeling like he wasn't smart, I think, in school, and never really did great as far as like academically in the school system. Then comes along my middle son, who is a wild child. He is just like my wild, creative, passionate kid and could not sit still for 2 seconds. And he goes into school and they pull us in and say, he is so smart. We're going to put him in this gifted program. And he excelled in school. And so I think there's something to be said with like how, I'm circling this back to like learning, because Dylan does love to learn, but I think for a period of his life, he thought he didn't like to learn because of the way that our school system is. And so when he was, in high school, he started getting more interested in, well, he's a wake surfer, and that's what he actually does, is he's a professional wake surfer. And that's my oldest. So he started getting interested in this sport, and we really just encouraged him to go all in on it, because he was getting to the age where he was like, maybe I'll come into your business. And we were like, you can do that, but you also have this opportunity, and you probably have 5 to 6 years to go all in on this professional athlete and build a brand for yourself. And you can always come back and join our business at any point that you want, but going all in. And through that process, I watched his desire to learn come back, because he was doing something that he loved. He has online programs. So like watching him dive in to learning how all of those things work, learning marketing and all of that, things that we didn't teach him. Like he's taught me a lot of those kinds of things, honestly. But, it was because of that desire to learn. But I don't know if I can necessarily take responsibility for that. But, we did encourage them, like that they, there were things that we always encouraged him, the things that he was good at and pulled out those good things. But I wish I would have just pulled him from that system, because I do think it hindered him for a lot of years.
Well, things, I believe, happen the way they're supposed to be, and we emerge and evolve into people we're supposed to be from the trauma, from the pain, from the regrets, from it all. So I'm sure that journey for him drove him to be able to be a professional wake surfer. You don't know. So I also am curious, because some of the falling in love with learning, huge factor, but also what I was hearing is belief. Like before, the teachers didn't believe that he was smart. And then you said, no, you are smart, you are talented. And I think that really plays into identity. And talk me through like how you frame your identity for yourself and then for your family, or you and Mike together as a unit too.
Yeah, this one's interesting too. I think, it's so easy to become our job, our career, or even a role. I fell into a space in my life where motherhood became actually my identity, which is great. And I'm so thankful for that. But it's not who you are, and your career is not who you are. But when we can get so wrapped up in what we do instead of who we are and who we are at our core. But I think that we almost have to experience the full identity in something in order to come out of it. Like you're saying, everything happens for a reason. And, I think for me, it took, it's like an onion, right? Like it just keeps peeling back all the layers. So if I look back, there was a season where maybe our business was a big part of my identity. And then as my kids were leaving, I didn't realize it until my kids were like leaving our house, that the mother identity had taken up such a huge role. And it's just been the past couple of years that I've had to peel that back. And it's not that it was not a good version of me. It's an amazing version of me, a version that I'm so proud of, but it's also shifting. And so I have to be able to shift and adapt to a new season and a new role. I'm still their mother, obviously. But my role has changed, right? Like the way that I show up for them has changed because they're adults now. And so I'm no longer deciding all the things that they do. In fact, I kind of started implementing that when they were in their high school years to allow them to expand. But my role has changed. But letting go of that, I think, is so hard. And I think as, humans, it's really hard to let go of parts of us and evolve into that new version of who we are. And it's not even a new version. It's a new season, because I believe that we were born with everything that we had. And a lot of times those things get shut down. And, when I think about me as a little girl, I wasn't scared of anything. And then over the years, I became more timid or shy or put myself in this box based on what people said about me. And so I think, as a parent, just reminding them that it's okay to evolve and not everything everybody says, or even what we say about them, as far as their personalities or the way that they show up, they're giving them permission to evolve and change into any direction that they want to.
Yeah. The permission to change your mind.
Yes.
Because if you don't change your mind, you're going to be the same, like spend every day the same way for 25, 50 years.
Yes.
For you, what has been your psychological journey? Like the shift from being like, okay, I'm a wife, then I'm a mother, then I want to be a female investor or entrepreneur. Like, how did you navigate grieving the loss of a previous era and embracing like a new era?
So this is really interesting. I don't know if you do this, and I think anybody listening, if you pay attention and you look in your past, you can see when there was like a shift in a season or a shift in maybe who you were becoming, and you can feel it when it's coming on. So when you look at your past, we can see what's coming in the future. So what I have done, which is really funny, is I usually will do something drastic to my outer appearance when I know that something like that's happened. I've even hired I actually worked with a coach. I'm just going to give this instance because this was really a really fun season for me. I worked with a coach who she was like a stylist, but it was way deeper than that. It was like the emotional part of it. But she took me through this journey and she actually had me pick a word because I knew I was shifting and that's why I like hired her. And so, but I was thinking like, this is going to be fun because I'm going to get like a style. Like I'm thinking all the outside things. Little did I know that it was really an inside journey. But she had me pick a word that I felt like I was like stepping into. And so I do this now to this day. Like when I know I can feel that shift happening, I'm like, what is the word? And I'll like close my eyes, I'll meditate on it. Like, what is that word that I'm stepping into? And the word that came up actually was wild, and it scared the crap out of me. I'm like, what does that mean? After it came out of my mouth, I was like, what does that mean? Am I going? Then I started thinking, wait, she's going to be styling me. Am I going to have dreads? Like,
is my hair going to be pink? Like, what's going wrong?
All of those things. And it is really, so that process with her, she actually picks everything. So you go shopping with her. She picks all these outfits. She takes you to the salon. I had no idea what they were going to do. It was like a letting go and a surrendering like I've never had before. And I don't think you always have to have somebody do that with you because I've only done that with her once and now I can just tap into it. But having her guide me through that, but it was such a fun journey because it really wasn't about being wild. It was really reattaching back to that natural, raw version of me. And like, I think about wildflowers. There's no boundaries. There's no, they just grow wherever. They're not scared to be seen. They're not scared to be unseen. And so that was kind of the journey. So now today, if I feel like something like that, like I'm actually in that season right now. So I have really long hair, like down to my waist, and I cut it like to my chin. So I always like to use outer as well. And then I usually will meditate on who that version of me is. How does she show up? I'll kind of write out like what her schedule looks like. How is she showing up when she walks into rooms? What's the energy that I want to step into and really stepping into that? But that's how I navigate it. I like a lot of visual. I like to be able to write things down and see it. And I think having and then shifting things as far as my style or my hair, something on the outside to reflect what I'm doing on the inside really helps me step into that new version.
Yeah. It's almost an embodiment practice.
Yes. It's totally an embodiment practice. And if you think about it, we're so used to, and when I first did this with her, I was so used to looking a certain way and doing my hair a certain way. And she didn't do a crazy change, but it's almost like we have to it's the unknown. And that's what we're the most scared of when we're stepping into something new or we're trying something new. It's that unknown that feels so scary because we're like, what is on the other side of this? And so I think that that's the most beautiful part of it is allowing yourself to do something new, try something new, even if it is like, I'm going to try a different style or do my hair differently.
Yeah, it's an adventure. I've been through many of these shifts in my life. So I journal, I write it out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a health nut yogi in this era. And then
Yeah.
this era, I'm like a powerhouse businesswoman. And this era, I'm like a family person. So I do the same thing. And I've changed my hair. This is the longest I've had my hair the same, but I recently was like, I think I'm ready. I'm ready for a new thing.
What is your season you're in right now?
I'm calling it WTF.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It could be, okay, so it could be WTF, like we all think of WTF,
Okay.
but it's also with the family.
Mm.
So we are like, what in the world is going on? How is this all happening? And we're a family through it all, like staying in the arena through the transitions and breaking those emotional patterns and those psychological patterns that you have, that when you're with people for an extended period of time, like building a business, building a life, you're together 24/7.
Yes.
And it's inevitable that you're going to rub up against each other. And either you're going to check out and numb and avoid, or you're going to lean in and have those healthy tension conversations and speak your truth, even though it's maybe not valid. There's a valid reason for you based on your trauma imprint for why you're behaving that way.
Yes.
And so I'm curious, because you and Mike have gone through this. You can't live as long as you have and built what you've built if you haven't gone through it. So how do you guys, like as a family unit or even just as a couple, because in business, in life, like stay in the arena, have the tough conversations and heal through it so you can scale your life?
Yeah, I think, this question comes up a lot with us. I think it's really, we have a couple of practices, staying on the same page and date nights. And it seems so silly. Like a date night seems like the silliest thing in the world that could change. But it literally changed our lives when we started doing weekly date nights, like non-negotiable. It's in our calendar. It happens every week. We will not do anything else on that night. There have been occasions where we've switched it to a different night.
Right.
But I think, opening up the conversation and then we both have an understanding of if we feel like we're supposed to go in a certain direction, that we can have that conversation. So I feel like we both have like a tremendous amount of grace as far as shifting or changing and then asking. I think that one's a big, big one, asking for what I need. So if I'm in a season where maybe my schedule is more busy or so I know that I'm going to need to prioritize the thing like myself. So I'm going to ask him and tell him, this is the support that I need from you right now in this season. And it changes, right? Because it depends on what season you're in. Sometimes you're in slower seasons, or sometimes you're more focused on your business or more focused on your health, right? Like whatever that looks like. I think being able to have those conversations of what that looks like. And then also when you're not happy, being able to express that. One thing we've always said is my happiness does not depend on him and his happiness does not depend on me, because he can't fulfill something inside of me. I have to fulfill that. And he's just extra on top of that. But there have been seasons where I have been like in more of a depressed season. And I remember having like really tough conversations during that season and him being like, I can't continue. Like he was very supportive of me, but I remember him being like, you need to figure this out because we can't continue like this. It's not healthy for either of us. And really ended up being an underlying health issue because it was something new. But he's like, go figure it out. Like he was very loving in it, but he encouraged me. And then also, I think when you share your deepest desires and your goals with each other, it can be a big accountability too, of like having somebody who calls you up, not calls you out, but somebody who calls you up to your highest version of yourself and doesn't let you settle because they know that your highest desire is to grow and to step into this, whatever that is, that's new season or this new version of yourself. So they're not going to allow you to back down and just go sit in the corner because they love you and they want the best for you. So I don't know if that's how many of those are, but
I can so relate to this in my relationship, because there are moments when you are going through a tough season and you really want your significant other to give you relief. You're like going to them to get the relief. And the partners that I've had that have not been the strongest give me relief. the partners who are the strongest don't give me relief. And sometimes I throw a temper tantrum. Sometimes I'm not happy about it, but they are not robbing me of my power. They're letting me have my power. And I feel like that's such a beautiful, and I have this right now in my relationship, such a beautiful partnership, because I can still do everything I want to be and I don't have to dim my light to do it. And it's not, I don't have to step out of the relationship to do it either. You can do it in the confines or container of the relationship. And you and Mike have that, it sounds like.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I'm thinking back of a season in my life where I was starting to like go and speak at things, and
Yes.
I didn't have like that terrifies me. It still kind of terrifies me.
Yeah.
But it was like maybe 5 years ago. And I remember I can't remember what I had written on my mirror, but I had written something, some kind of affirmation, right?
Yeah.
And I was going through all these things and having to prepare. And I remember messaging him, and I couldn't figure, it was some tech thing and I couldn't figure out how to do it. It's just a learning thing,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't
Yeah.
anything to do with, I just hadn't ever done that. And I remember texting him being like, I don't think I want to do this. He's like, that's fine, but just go read what you wrote on your mirror, and then you can decide. Like, this is your decision, not mine. And I'm like, I hate you right now. I hate you. So like, I'm for sure throwing some tantrums.
They're not letting us play victim. You're not a
Yes.
victim in your own life.
Yes.
You're not the mercy of fear. You can speak on stage. You can do this. You could do it terrified. You could do it scared, but you're going to be brave. And at the end of it, you're going to be happy.
Yes.
And it happens. It like every time I similar story, because I about 4 or 5 years ago started speaking on stages more prominently. And I was terrified. I was like, I'm the behind the scenes person. I don't do the public. I mean, even starting this show, I've been running podcasts for years and I never actually had my own show.
Mm-hmm.
And the first few times I would do it, I would get off, I would cry. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't want to do it again. And everyone's like, you did amazing. You're growing. It's so awesome. But to your point, I had to learn to wrap myself in a bubble of grace and just like bounce like those big bubbles down the hill, like bounce through my life like that, because otherwise you keep your box small and you don't build your happiness.
Yes. Like when you move to a new city and you're first getting there, maybe you've been to that city, but you're like, I have no idea where I'm at. Everything is like backwards and you just have no idea. I mean, you could pull out a map, but if you were just to drive, you just don't know where you are. And then you've lived there for 6 months and you're like, how the heck did I not know where I was? Like, right. You start getting those landmarks. You're like, how did I not know where I was? It's so simple. And I think that that's how it is with our lives. So anytime I'm in a season where I'm feeling like what you were saying, that terrified, because I've had many of them and I know I'll continue to have them. I just think it's a new city. Yes. I'm in a new city and I just don't know where I am yet, but pretty soon I'm going to be whipping around this new city and it's going to be fine. Right.
Yes.
So I like to look at those situations because it does feel so scary, but it really, coming back to that, it's just unknown. It's just something new. And it's out of that box that you're talking about that we're used to living in, but we're not meant to live in a tiny little box.
Hello again. I have something special for you. If you are a 7-figure entrepreneur, or even just an entrepreneur who's aspiring to do big things, then you will really enjoy our 4 tips guide on how you can go from where you're at, whether it's scattered, chaotic, drowning, to something that's systematized, organized, and scaling. Just click the link below and we will send you this free guide that will transform not only your business, but you as a leader. Yes. Freedom, expansiveness, that's where energy goes, and living in that world. You and Mike have together goals. And I think it's something that has really transformed your relationship to be able to work towards things together. How do you guys align your vision and align your schedules so that you guys can kind of win together?
We usually every year do like a goal setting like day or 2 days with the two of us. We like to usually go away and be somewhere expansive. But the last 2 years, we've actually done it in our house that we're in right now because we just love our house. So we're like, we feel like we're at a resort, so we'll just do it here. But next year, maybe it's a newer house. So maybe next year we'll go somewhere else. But what we do is we separate. So we kind of have like some goals that we go through as far as like pillars, like relationships, money, career, personal, like health. And we kind of lay those out and then we meet back up. So we do them separately, and then we meet back up and see where we're aligned, where we're off. And sometimes we're usually pretty like aligned, but sometimes it's one of us calling the other person up because they had a higher goal on something. And then designing what our schedules look like. That one is ever evolving, the schedules piece of it, because, sometimes that changes, but we always front load our calendar. So putting in the most important things as far as vacations and trips and things that we're committed to. And then we have a big family calendar that anybody can, like my kids can come over and pull it out of this drawer and see where we're at. Because sometimes, we travel a lot. So they're like, where is mom and dad in this world? So, but it has everything, all of our main events that we have for the year. And then we know what we can say yes to and what we can say no to. And that's kind of how we align. And then we have shared calendar as well.
Do you guys do book studies together and things of that nature?
We have not done a book study.
No. Oh, wow.
I think we've read like 2, but we have not done. That's a good idea, though. We should probably. We've read like 2 books together, but yeah, we haven't done a book study together.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes the business systems that I have, like where you do your annual planning and you do your quarterly reviews and you run your 90-day sprints and you have your weekly meetings, like that whole schedule works just in the family as well.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say, as you were saying that. So we do also like to have a family. We have a date night, but then we have like a meeting, like a family meeting, and it's like a business meeting. It's more like what's happening this week, what's going on in your life, what's going on in my life, where are we at financially? Like that's where the financial meeting happens. Because I think sometimes, and especially, if you have little kids, we don't anymore, but when people have little kids, they're like date night, that's when all of that stuff comes up. And that's not what date night is for. So we like to keep those separate, and date night's just for fun. But I love that you brought that up, like EOS and all of those systems. Like that's like a family system. Like you can absolutely run that for your family and know where you're going.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just like everyone's going rogue and you can't keep track of anything and there's no unity.
Yes.
Yeah. So for your business side of you, that side, what drives you there and what motivates you there that is outside of just the structure that you and Mike have together?
I think that kind of goes back to the legacy piece for me. Like it's a lot of things that I like to do are impact driven of like, who's this impacting? So I have a community for female investors, and that's really just giving back to women. And it's a little bit selfish as well. So I can't just say it's giving back because it feeds me as well. Just having other women who are wanting to multiply their money and talk about that. Like it's really rare to get in a group and in a room with women who everybody wants to talk about that. So that really drives me in that business. It's called Rain & Co. And I love just building women's confidence when it comes to investing, and then having other women surrounded around me with that. And then as far as like our main investing business, I think that's really like legacy. Like what's the impact that this is going to have for generations, and how do we build this so that it continues on for generations? And I think that that's, I'm doing roles in our business right now that if you would have asked me 2 years ago if I would be doing it, I would be like, heck no. But I'm so excited about it because I know that what it's doing for our future and for our families. So I think that that's a big part of it for me, is just family and the legacy.
Yeah. I'm curious what roles.
So I actually just stepped into our operations. So doing all for our property management company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yep.
I've done that. It's a lot. Are you organizing it and like getting it all streamlined and processed?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably need a little bit of your help because I'm more of the visionary, but I'm filling the role for now. So
yes, that's a hard shift, especially in property management. That is like a detail-oriented, nitty-gritty, manual labor, like all the things.
Yes. Thankfully, we have a really great team already who they are pretty detailed. So I can usually say, I think this could be better. And then they can help me build it how it should be. And they're pretty detailed. But yeah, it's been fun, and it's very recent. But it's been a lot of fun.
So I want to just briefly tangent on this because I have been integrator. So with my family businesses, I was integrator, built several of them. And then I built OTS as well. And I shifted to visionary. And then I'm like, I don't know. I think I kind of like this integrator role better because it's a little bit less. I'm a visionary for sure, but I don't always like being front and center. So, how did you like visionaries typically are front and center, which I know that was a shift for you. Like, do you score high on both visionary and integrator?
I don't think that I'm both. I think I probably would score more on the integrator. It's
Okay.
pretty close when I've taken the test, it's pretty
Yeah.
close. So I don't know if I'm like strong in either one of them, where it's like,
Yeah.
wow, you're a rock star integrator or you're a rock star visionary.
Yeah.
But I do kind of like both. I like bits and pieces of both roles. I don't know. I'm like, can I just pick which ones I want to roll with? Which
Yes.
one do you said you prefer the integrator?
Well, I think I don't like doing both. I've sat in both at the same time. Terrible
Yeah,
idea.
that's not a good idea. No.
Oh my gosh, you're split in two directions. You want to implode. I liked the visionary when I had an integrator that I really, really deeply trusted,
Yes.
and my sister sat in it, and she still supports me in different ways, but not as actively. She's got 8 kids. That was super special for me. And then sitting in the integrator seat with my father being the visionary, that was super special to me. And then now we're moving into my significant other. He has a very successful business and he is at the point where he needs an integrator. And we just decided that, oh, maybe I'll support him as an integrator. And almost I felt like this huge weight off my shoulders when I stepped into the integrator role. And I think it's really a shift more of feminine and masculine. Like the masculine is just they have to be braver. They have to go get the clients, close the clients, throw it over. It's that hunter gatherer energy
Yeah. Yeah.
and or farmer energy, whatever you want to call it. And the integrator is more of that nurturer gets to, support the visionary and support the team and integrate it all. And so I think for my nervous system, I like integrator more.
Yep.
For my adventure, thrill seeking, adrenaline junkie version of me, which I have, I like
Yep.
visionary more.
Yep. Yep. All of those are just so relatable.
Yeah. So with the few minutes we have left, I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. So, reflecting on your business and life, what are the choices that you've made that have most inspired you?
I think we could have probably been a lot further along business-wise, and in terms of success on a world standard if we had sacrificed more of our family, but I would never trade it. So I think that's something I'm so proud of is that we prioritized our family when they were little and when they were in high school and just growing up. Like and we have just a really close knit family and like my kids like to hang out with me still, which I hope they continue to do. But I think, Mike and I have been talking about this a lot. Like we could have probably been a lot further along than we are, but at the risk of losing that part of our family. And so for me, the thing I'm most proud of within our business is that we kept our priorities. And I'm still really proud of where we are as far as our businesses and where we've came and where we're going. But I'm more proud of the family that we've built.
I love this because I help so many entrepreneurs organize and scale their businesses, and we do it to create freedom. And then we end up trapped in the very businesses designed to create our freedom because we don't keep the main thing, which is freedom.
Yes.
And that's time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, but it's also the eyes closed freedoms of peace, joy, love, all of those things. So do you feel like the frameworks that allowed you to do that was pre-scheduling your family traditions on the calendar before you took on work?
Yes. And I think too, just saying no, like we said no to a lot of things. Well, as the kids were growing up, we didn't travel a lot during those seasons because we didn't want to be away. So, there was a lot of opportunities that we could have stepped into, but we would have been away from our family. So I think it really was just having really clear boundaries of what this looks like, which has also been why it was a weird shift for me when my kids left, because all of a sudden I could say yes to all of these things. And it felt weird. Like I was finding myself still saying no because of past version of myself that was great and necessary. But then now I'm in this new season where I can say yes. So that's been a shifting, but I think we were just so clear on what we wanted as far as what we wanted our family to look like, that we knew what was a yes and what was a no.
Yeah. That clarity is so important. Otherwise, you end up saying yes to things you don't want to say yes to and wake up in a life you never wanted.
Yes. Yes. And we just did not want to wake up and our kids not know us, not like us. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing to me. And I want that. I wanted to have a relationship with my kids.
And you do.
And I do.
What's your definition of success?
I love this question. I would say it's kind of like what you were saying, the eyes closed, like having joy when you wake up in the morning, feeling good in my body. That one's a big one for me. Feeling like I can move my body, like, feel good, like my energy levels are good. Also the freedom piece of, having enough financial success that I get to choose. It's more the time freedom and the options that I'm after than the actual money piece of it, but we need the money. So the money is it's the tool that creates the options and the time freedom. So I never am scared to say, like, having money is success to me, because that's what actually creates those freedoms. But I think, the freedom of choice and time is huge on that list. And then having really rich relationships.
Yes. Yeah. Relationships are such a blessing in life, especially as you navigate the arenas and seasons.
Yes.
So what projects are you most excited about right now?
So it's funny. I want to say Rain, because Rain is like my baby with the female investors, but I am actually most excited about stepping into this new role. Is that so crazy? Like, as you said that, I wanted to say Rain & Co, because I am still so excited about this, but it's just been so fun to step into this new role. And I haven't worked inside of our business in probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun navigating what that looks like with Mike. And I feel like I'm really being stretched in new ways. So that's what I'm most excited about right now. And it's fun.
Yes. I can resonate with you on every level there, because I feel like me stepping back into an integrator role feels like I haven't done this thing in so long. And it's also in a business that I don't have a ton of experience, like a manual labor type business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to be thrilling, because it's going to be something that I get to learn. It's new, and I get to almost customize my integration to the person that I sleep next to at night. So it's like a blessing, because I think it's going to be a family blessing and a business blessing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's exactly what I'm feeling. And even to say it out loud, I'm like, is that really me saying that? But it is.
I'm in the WTF era. Like, what's going on? This is not me.
Yes. I love it. So good.
Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Instagram is probably the best place. So Kara_Ayala. I'm pretty active on there, and you can always reach out to me in DMs. I'm always in my DMs. So that's probably the best place. Also Rain & Co. If you're a female investor and that's something you're interested in. So it's rainand.co. And yeah, those are probably the best 2 places.
Well, I'm excited to do your Rain & Co. female entrepreneur investor dinner. Yes. I know that you do them periodically, but I guess if women are in Austin area and fit the criteria, I think that could be a good spot for them to plug in.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it was so good chatting with you about business, life, family, kids, all of the things. And then just also how integrated you have become inside of yourself as you've navigated it all, going from wild to magnetic to, really feeling good in your body. That's such a journey. So I just honor and respect you for how you've done that.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so fun chatting with you.
Yes. And for those that are listening, I believe we can build businesses and have beautiful lives when we learn to integrate the dreamer and the doer in us, so we can stay rooted and get shit done. So y'all take care and crush it.